Coxie, obviously we've just had a pretty emotional Adam Lawes talk about the turf. The SCG has been a big talking point this week, and clearly wasn't up to scratch in the Northern End last week. But what have you made of kind of all the talk this week and apparent speculation that the game could have been moved, even though that was never kind of on the cards?
I think it was always going to happen from Friday night. One thing as a football club, we've always tried to do is accommodate the best way we can to make sure the surface is in as safe and as best nick as possible. So we've done that this week. We've done it for a 3-week period throughout the year as well, and we just understand it's at a level now and it'll get fixed, which is good.
I guess as much as you'd love to be training on there at the moment, is it just a sacrifice here kind of happy to make? And is it one that affects you guys at all in terms of the footy program training on Tramway in terms of the SCG?
No, not at all. I think the players, we've trained here for most of pre-season. Throughout the year we've spent enough time on the SCG, so it's just a chance now to train out here, let that settle, and looking forward to Sunday afternoon.
And you're confident it'll be right to go in terms of the communication you've received?
Yeah. So, ball reports, I haven't heard anything different. I'll prepare, and the players will prepare for Sunday afternoon on the SCG.
Dean, there's been criticism from Perth, Melbourne. Do you feel the criticism of the turf has been overblown?
I don't really dive into that. I just sort of know the condition that it was in. We all want to work to a common goal, which is to get it back as quickly as possible. So, I've sort of tried to steer clear of that sort of information and dialogue around what should or shouldn't happen. People are in their jobs to do their jobs.
Is it distracting for you at all, or is it something you totally
Nah.
block out?
Yeah, no, not at all. I think, there hasn't been any dialogue throughout the week from the players about where are we playing, what are we doing. We just come out here, we train, worry about, they'll control every other dynamic of when it is, if it's safe, we'll get told what to do.
Do you feel a bit for Adam and his team, given they've been in the spotlight so much more than they probably have ever been just about?
I think people in any job are always in the spotlight. I think one thing you've got to make sure is that we understand it is a tough job during some trying conditions, and we'll accommodate any way we can.
There were so many positives to take out of the Bulldogs game, even though you guys didn't get the result. Has that been the main message for you across the week to, okay, we can build on this and really have a strong end to the season?
Yeah, it was, and it was obviously a disappointing result. It wasn't a disappointing performance. I think one thing we need to make sure that we know is when we play our best footy, it's good enough against any team in the comp, and the Bulldogs are in very, very good form as a Fremantle. So, we've got to make sure that we can produce that on a bit more of a consistent basis.
Obviously, they play in different ways, but both sides clearly have a midfield strength. They've got dominant ruckmen, they've got really good users around the ball, around the contest. What can you take out of the Dogs game in particular to try and get a bit more of an upper hand? Because obviously to win contested possessions, to win clearances against the Dogs is a really good sign.
Yeah, it is. And, the players and then certainly, Benny Matthews, they've done a heap of work around that, around the stoppage stuff. Collectively across the group, we've wanted to improve our contested ball in all contested ball metrics and also all over the ground. I think previously we've been really poor ahead of the ball. We've evened that up now. So, to our players' credits, that's what they've worked extremely hard on, focused on, and we need to again. Obviously the ascendancy that Fremantle can get through their midfield and have a very dangerous forward line. So, they play talls there, they've got dynamic smalls, so we've got to try and restrict that opportunity as much as possible.
Obviously set shots were an issue that raised their head again. Is there anything differently you can do besides just putting 100 balls in guys' hands and letting them kick them through?
Yeah, that's obviously something to just continually speak about. They'll come out and train it and try and just go through their routines. So to make sure their routines are down packed, they don't deviate from that, and put the time in, and that's what they've done.
What's it been like watching Grundy perform the way he does recently?
He's been in unbelievable form. I think he's been a catalyst between us turning our form around and the ascendancy that he can give our midfield group. They have great confidence in him, and he's going to have to be this weekend again. He's got two two different ruckmen that can dominate in different ways for the footy club. So, he'll, like always, he'll do his homework on them. He'll spend time trying to come up with a plan about how to execute his role, and I've got no doubt he'll do it again.
Logan McDonald seemed to be fairly involved in training. How far off is he from returning?
He's still a little bit away. So he had a decent deload, so we'll increase his training loads as they go. There's no specific round yet, but it's not in the short term.
How is Joel and Marty tracking? Is he all good to go? And I bet he's probably really hungry to get back out there after his last performance at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, definitely. I think the performance for one part was really good, and Joel, unfortunately, we couldn't take the risk late in the week. He trained fully. He's done everything he needs to do, so he'll play Sunday, which is good.
Just on the key forward stuff, we've seen a few more reports this week that the Swans have denied, but potential links to Joe Daniher trying to coax him out of potential retirement. Is there anything there that you've tried to explore, or is that something that you can kind of say, no, that's not something you've looked at?
No, as a footy club, we haven't inquired or spoken to Joe. I can categorically say that. Having said that, though, I sort of make sure that the list management team are exploring everyone across the country to improve our list. Joe just hasn't been on that list.
So maybe because he's in Europe, is that why? Need to expand
It's a
it
little
out
bit hard. I
more?
wouldn't mind going over to Europe to say hello. But we haven't made any contact.
Robbie Fox as well, as someone he's that concussion issue seems to be lingering a bit. How's he kind of tracking it?
He's progressing, which is good. So I think as soon as they go into protocols, there's always timing between are there still symptoms to restart the protocols, and that's what we had to do with Robbie. He's progressing now, but like anything, we'll be really cautious with that as well.
And we saw Joel Hamlin kind of playing around with the ones defence before. Is he probably the likely replacement for Dane this weekend, or is Bice someone who can come into
Well, that's what we'll talk through now. So obviously Joel's played a number of roles for us. So's Riley. So's Matt Roberts as well. So the ability to be able to whether bring them in or to shuffle who we play where. They mix up their forward line, and like I mentioned before, have some dangerous forwards and some really dynamic smalls.
Ollie Florent came back in as the sub. Were you satisfied with his performance in the weekend, or is he someone who's on the fringes who might need a full game again back in the VFL?
Possibly. I think one thing we've sort of really have to look at the team and individual performances is he a sub again? Does he play full AFL, or does he have to go back to the VFL? So those discussions we'll have as soon as I get back into the headquarters and work out. He's in the squad. It's just where he sits in that.
McCartney's all good?
Yeah, Tommy's good. Yeah. So unfortunately missed him last week, but he's fully trained and ready to go.